Hey, fellow rulers. Today I am really excited to bring Phil Town's portfolio as of the end of Q2 2022. In fact, his portfolio was revealed in the last 24 hours. So we get to see exactly his positions in his portfolio. And more importantly, I think his option contracts, because we get to see what stocks he's really interested in at certain prices. And he did sell out of a stock completely in the quarter, and there's a new stock that showed up as well. So this is pretty exciting stuff overall. And I'm a huge Phil Town fan. In fact, I took his investing course about 3 years ago. I have a couple of his books right behind me, and I try to tailor my investing strategies after Phil Town. And my background is in accounting and finance. I've been an accountant for almost 20 years now. So I try to use my background in accounting and the knowledge I've learned from Phil Town and other investors to try to create my own strategies, but mirror a lot of what they do as well. So let's first talk about the stock that he sold out of during the quarter, and that is Sanderson Farms. Now, I'm not too surprised that he was selling out of this one. They're actually going through an acquisition where they're being bought out. So I knew at some point this would be going away. So he ended up selling about 42,000 shares in total. And I also mentioned that I do follow Phil Town's portfolio every single month, and I track what his performance is. So towards the end of this video, I'm going to show you how well his portfolio is trending each month and what it looks like year to date versus S&P 500. So you want to stick to the end of this video as well. Now, his largest position in his portfolio is cash, and that is over 40% of his portfolio. Now, I want you to be aware that, when I talked about these percentages, these do not include his option contracts and the money that is tied up in those option contracts. So it's going to be kind of part of his cash position if you know much about option contracts. So just keep in mind his options are part of that cash, but nonetheless, over a third of his position is in cash. And he's been talking in his podcast that he thinks that there's a good chance that the market's going to continue to drop, and he's ready to buy companies that fall in his margin of safety overall. So now let's talk about his smallest really real stock position and then kind of work our way up from there. And the smallest one is iShares Silver Trust, ticker symbol SLV. It's less than 1% of his portfolio. And I'm a bit surprised this is even in there. It seemed like he's been trying to sell calls on this position and just trying to get rid of it. He sold all of his gold positions already. So I'm a little surprised this one is still here, but it is there nonetheless. Next one up is Boeing, ticker symbol BA. Also surprised this one is here because he's been trying to sell this thing for several months now, but he still has that in his portfolio. Next one up is Sturm, Ruger and Company. That's another one I'm surprised in his portfolio because he's been selling a lot of call options on this one as well, trying to get rid of it, and his ticker symbol RGR. He's made quite a bit of money on this particular stock overall, but he's been selling off, but he still has some shares there. Next one up is Armada Hoffler, ticker symbol AHH, ticker symbol portfolio percentage is 4.7 on that one. Next one up is Activision Blizzard, ticker symbol ATVI. That's about 6% of his portfolio. Next one up is Huntington Ingalls, ticker symbol HII, roughly about 8%. So that's his fourth largest position right there. Next one up is Sprouts Farmers Market, ticker symbol SFM. That's also about 8%. He did add to that during the quarter, so that went up about 85,000 shares, up about 27% from the previous quarter. Next one up that he's been really loading up on is Netflix, ticker symbol NFLX, and he did add 53,000 shares, so a big change, 8% in total. added about 282% compared to the last quarter overall. But we'll talk more about Netflix in the option contracts because there's some interesting things that are going on there. And now his largest position in his portfolio, which makes up 13%, which is no change from really the last almost 2 years, I would say, is Bank OZK, ticker symbol OZK. Again, about 13% of his portfolio, over 400,000 shares there. So that means he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 positions overall there. All right. So now let's talk about his option contracts. And I really like looking at his option contracts because it really allows me to get into his mind to figure out, okay, what stocks is he really wanting to buy, and maybe some stocks he wants to unload, and at what price, right? And if you know anything about Phil Town, he likes to get a discount rate of 15% and then a margin of safety of 50% on top of that. So he's trying to buy stocks at a significant discount to what their intrinsic value is overall. And the option contracts can give us a good eye into what he's thinking. So let's first talk about the new stock that is showing up in his portfolio, and that is Alphabet, ticker symbol GOOGL. He has written numerous put options on this particular stock at a strike price of 1,730. Now, keep in mind that Google went through a 20-to-1 stock split. So if you look at Google right now, it's around $115. But when he actually sold these put options, the stock was trading around, I think, around 2,100 or 2,200 at that time with an expiration date of 7/15. Now, he also went out and bought some put options for the same expiring date. So what he's kind of doing here is a bull credit spread on Google. He is selling put options at a higher price and then buying them at a lower price there. And so he's kind of generating some income there, but also kind of protecting his bottom if it drops too far overall. And then he also sold some more put options on the other Google ticker symbol, which is GOOG, for about 50 contracts at 1,970. And similar to that, he also purchased some put options as well at $1,960. And all these were expiration date of 7/15. So it's probably unlikely that those were put to him. Overall would be my assumption there, because I don't think it dropped down to that much overall, but interesting to note. And a lot of people wonder why there's two different Google ticker symbols, and that just they have the Class A shares and Class B shares, and I believe the Class A shares you have voting rights, or the Class B shares you don't. That's why Class B shares are a little bit cheaper, but it's still the same company if you're just kind of wondering overall. So next up, let's talk about Netflix, because this is a little different on how he is handling the option contracts with them. So what he is doing is he's actually sold some put options on Netflix at $172 with an expiration date on 7/1, but then he also sold some call options at a strike price of $210 with an expiration of 7/1. So what that's telling me is that he is trying to potentially call away some of his current position of his Netflix shares. So he owns a ton of shares of Netflix already, but he is trying to collect some premiums on that. So this is just some way he can generate some income. He did this with Sprouts as well. So it's not totally uncommon to see that, especially if he got some put options put to him that were and the stock has fallen quite a bit compared to where there's at. This can be just a way he can generate some income. And he also sold some more put options, only 3 of them, which is really weird to me. So maybe he kind of bought out of some of these, but there's only 3 there at a strike price of $280 with expiration of 7/15. So that one's a little weird. And he still has some Boeing call options out there that he has sold, looking to get rid of some of his his position in Boeing overall, because he doesn't really like where Boeing's been going. They've been collecting or increasing their cash position, but not paying down their debt overall. So now let's talk about his portfolio and how it's doing against the S&P 500, because with me following his positions and kind of what he's doing and reading his books, I want to see, is he beating the market, kind of what's happening there. So let's talk about first the S&P 500, how it's done year to date. So from January to June, the S&P 500 was down about 21%. So how is Phil Towns' portfolio doing? It is down 16%. So he's actually doing better than what the S&P 500 is, and I would expect that because his cash position is so large, over 40% of his portfolio. That is going to protect him if the market is really going to tank. Even if his stocks go down, say 21% like the market did, his overall portfolio isn't going to do that because he's 40% in cash overall. On the flip side of that, if the S&P 500 is up 20%, I would not expect his portfolio to be up that high because his cash position is so high in his portfolio. So it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. What I plan to do is go back into 2021 and then just keep a running tally to see where he is going forward. So I'll probably do that next video so we can kind of see from inception to date of his Rule 1 fund to see where it's at, because he really wasn't, I don't think he was beating the market last year overall. So it'll be interesting to see inception to date on his portfolio. But that's where it stands right now. I'd be curious for you guys. What do you think about his portfolio? What do you think about his positions? Really no change in Banco ZK, but adding Netflix, adding Sprouts during the quarter, seeing Google actually showing up as in some of his option contracts. I would not be surprised if he starts buying Google at some point this quarter overall. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the other side. Take care and God bless.